Happy Father's Day, everybody, and welcome to the special live episode of Strong Style here on the Outlaw Nation channel. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, joined by these two wonderful people here. Aaron, we got so much to talk about. Aaron Turner, how are you there in Orlando, man? Fresh from your visit to a convention yesterday. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm proud to announce that I'm actually we kicked the butcher out of the group. So now it's the Blade, the Bunny, and the Thing.
Nice.
Is what I'm now being referenced as. So I joined the team.
So you're going to take the pins. You're going to job for everybody on AEW's roster as well. All right. Congratulations.
Listen, you son of a bitch. No, I'm not going to do that. Two excellent people. Love the Blade. He might be my new best friend.
Oh, nice. Respective. It's not easy to do that. And Chris Burns joining us as well, lounging in his bed. Chris, how you feeling, man? How's your weekend going?
Life is good. King Switch is the new IWGP heavyweight champion. Bullet Club is great. And so I'm just taking it in. I got a young lady massaging my feet as we speak.
What?
It's just a good. Oh. It's you're just soaking in all the accolades. Don't
pay her off. Don't pay her off.
Yeah, listen, you all know, and you're tuning into us because you know it's been a hell of a week in pro wrestling for sure. The Vince McMahon, the Sasha Banks stuff alone was consuming our attention, and then the Jeff Hardy stuff popped off, which was insane. And now we have the Vince McMahon stuff over the last few days that's really kind of consumed the conversations here going on in the world of pro wrestling. Oh, and I think there was a SmackDown and a Raw and a Dynamite and a Rampage as well.
Who cares?
So, yeah, exactly. So we're going to get into all of it live here with you on the show. Please remember, Streamlabs and SuperChats are open. See the Streamlabs. I'm going to pin the Streamlabs address in the chat, and we'd love it if you send in some support as we go along. Any questions, thoughts, and comments, any ideas you want us to talk about here on the show, feel free to send them in. I've got a little bug flying around, so if you catch me smacking shit in the air, that's what I'm doing. So, all right, so let's get into it here. Aaron, where are we starting off first?
I don't know. What do you guys want to talk about now? We're going to kick off with Sasha Banks, and the word is that Sasha Banks has been reportedly officially released from her WWE contract. This came a couple days ago from Raj Giri of Wrestling Inc. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, Raj. He sent out a tweet on Wednesday night saying that he is hearing that Sasha Banks has been released from WWE. Subsequent follow-up from Fightful have proved nothing concrete. There's just been a lot of rumors swirling. A second report did come out yesterday saying that we heard the same thing. Yeah, people hear a lot of stuff. I just want to throw in there a couple things. If Sasha has left the company, such a huge blow to not only the women's division, which has been struggling to find any kind of solid ground lately, but a massive blow to the company at large. She is a former NXT Women's Champion, five-time Raw Champion, or five-time Raw Women's Champion, SmackDown Women's Champion, three-time Women's Tag Team Champion, Grand Slam Champion. Oof. As a female in WWE, outside of winning the Royal Rumble, she has done it all. Yeah. And then, we talked about her Hollywood aspirations a few weeks ago. She has already stated that she does not appear in the next season, that's season 3 of The Mandalorian, where she plays Koska Reeves. So, and I don't know if you've seen that float around social media. She's got new hair. She's been out partying, doing her thing. So, thoughts on Sasha Banks being gone and the impact that would possibly cause?
Chris, I'll turn it over to you, my man. You start us off on this one. What do you think about this news? What are you hearing in your sources? What's going on here?
From what I'm hearing, that this is pretty much a done deal. That in the light of.
Hold on, Chris, your audio is a little stuttering, so I don't know what's going on there. So just if you could, there we go. Could you talk again?
Better.
Oh, no.
Hear me?
You were better on the bed. So, yeah, it's a little scratchy.
Let's see. It's better?
Let's try it again. Go ahead. Keep going. Yeah, go ahead. So what are you hearing?
All right. So what I'm hearing on my end, that this is 100% legit. That everything that we're hearing about Sasha is absolutely true. She's been pretty much scrubbed from all things WWE. If you look at the intros to SmackDown or the roster pages on the website, all this, etc. Yeah, what I'm hearing, she's pretty much done. And it really is colored by what is going on currently with Vince McMahon and everything that we've heard from Toni Storm and Mick James and even Nia Jax in how a lot of the female talent was treated in WWE.
Yeah.
And I just think that this kind of exacerbated the thing, and they don't want, they didn't want her associated with what they got going on right now because she could be really damaging.
Right.
That's hilarious watching you battle that.
I'm telling you. It's yeah, Mike. Yeah, Chris, your mic's having. I don't know if you need to disconnect your headphones and reconnect or something like that. But yeah, you're coming.
I'm gonna log off and come back.
Okay.
All right,
Come in back in. Yeah, I mean, my reaction to this is I'm sad for Sasha because I love Sasha from day one. I've loved Sasha Banks from NXT to WWE. I've been one of the more vocal people in this sphere talking about how they've mistreated her and not understanding what they have in Sasha Banks as a commodity. I was so tired of all the one winning the title and then she loses it the next week or the next pay-per-view. It was so frustrating. So it seemed like she had finally kind of broken through all that. The company was trusting her more. She was holding onto the belt for longer. She's having great runs with Bayley. She held the company together with Bayley during COVID. Like there was so much that she's given to the company and then was able to do this stuff and be big on social media. And as you mentioned earlier, Aaron, go off and be in The Mandalorian and take a little chance and seeing if acting might be something for her. So to see her walk away, this seems like this was coming. I think that, there's just been such issues and Sasha's been blowing up and getting bigger and bigger. And she has aspirations. She has ambitions. And I think maybe she figured that this was the best, maybe the situation, seeing the creative stuff, once again being told what to do in a situation where she felt this would affect her overall brand. She just was sick of it. And look, I get it. You hit a wall where you don't want to be under someone's thumb anymore and you want to go out on your own. I totally can understand why she wanted to do this. My concern goes to Naomi, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Aaron, your thoughts on this and Sasha possibly being leaving the WWE, and if you think this is a done deal.
I concur what Chris said. I checked with my source.
Okay.
This person I trust deeply because they told me 6 months before it happened that Edge was coming back full time.
Okay.
So I definitely trust them in this. And I'm not going to tell you what they told me because I don't want to be that guy that's like, yeah, I heard it's in there. I don't want to be that guy because we don't break news on here. It's not like that. But anyway, we just talk about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
We could, but I'm just going to refrain. But yep. Sasha Banks, I don't have to tell any of you guys that watch this show, that are on this show, of how great Sasha Banks is. You have two eyes. You can see that.
Yeah.
I saw Sasha Banks as the boss when it was being workshopped on the road in NXT on the house shows before it even made TV.
Wow.
So I knew what she was going to do because back then she was, happy, smiley, skippy Sasha Banks, and it was just kind of like nothing. And then she got the boss. And originally when it was on the Florida Loop and on NXT on the house shows, Angelo Dawkins was her like hype man.
Yeah.
It was like her manager. And then they dumped Dawkins and brought it to TV, and then she teamed with Charlotte and the Summer Rae stuff and the Mean Girls gimmick. But Sasha Banks could have easily been just like an average female wrestler.
Yeah.
And when it came time to be bumped up to the main roster after that match with Bayley, which, fight me if you want in the comments, is the single greatest female match, if not of all time, top three.
I 1,000% agree with you. Greatest match of all.
I think it's incredible. I think the story that they told is incredible. I don't know how you miss on this person. Yeah. Like, I understand that Charlotte Flair is also a generational talent. WWE is an embarrassment of riches where they have like 6 generational female talents right now, 6 or 7, it feels like, with the 4 horsewomen and Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Asuka. It's like, holy shit, what a bunch of riches that they have.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you screw this up and how many times, in science, rubber bands reach their elastic limit. Sasha Banks reached her fucking limit. She's like, listen, I want these tag team titles to mean something, not just for me, for women's wrestling. I want it to mean something because in every company where there is women's tag team titles, in even Impact, which has, the people love the Impact Knockouts roster, and it's great.
Yeah.
They don't mean shit. None of them mean shit.
Yeah.
And her and Bayley made it mean something. Then they took it away with the Iconics. And then she and Bayley made it mean something again.
Yeah.
And then they didn't give a shit. And then now it's like, okay, me and Naomi, we're going to make it mean something. And they said, no, we don't give a shit. And it's like, how many times can you be told that you're the best and the worst at the same time? Like,
yeah, especially when you're watching, they put Charlotte and Becky over in every situation possible, but you're the one that's always constantly getting short shrift. Plus, being a black female wrestler, first of all, being black wrestler and then being a black female wrestler, seeing, the history of the company and how they've treated wrestlers who are black and wrestlers who are black females in the past, it hasn't always been a positive track record. And you should be getting just as much shine as Charlotte and Becky, and you're just constantly frustrated by these old white dudes not understanding your value in this situation. Maybe there's a wall that just, she can't go past this moment anymore. F them, she has to go find it someplace else.
It's so frustrating, not only for Sasha Banks, the character, for us all to watch and consume on television, but Mercedes Varnado, the person, who like is going, no matter what happens, is going to be labeled as somebody that's like, oh, she's really hard to work with. She quit WWE. Right. She had attitude problems. Yeah, that's going to be the narrative, because that's how people on the outside that aren't on the inside see it.
Right.
And it's bullshit. And it's not fair. And it's frustrating, because you feel like with these 4 horsewomen of wrestling that they had, Sasha, Bayley, Becky, and Charlotte.
Yeah.
That Charlotte is like the one. Initially, she was like, she's the one. We're putting everything behind Charlotte. And then it's like, but she had good matches with Sasha. So we'll do that too. Then we'll roll with Sasha. And then it's like, we're going to change Bayley up. All right, we're going to roll with Bayley now. And then it's like, well, Becky's getting a lot of search. Okay, we're going to roll with Becky and see what she does. And then it was like, I don't give a shit about Sasha. I don't give a shit about Bayley.
Yeah.
I'm going to pencil Charlotte back in there with Becky, because it'll make the most money at WrestleMania. People don't know Becky Lynch as well as they know Charlotte Flair. So that's why Charlotte was in that triple threat match. And that's why, it's great that you got a female Royal Rumble. It's great that Charlotte and Sasha headlined Hell in a Cell. But it's kind of an empty gesture when it's like, but they're not headlining SummerSlam. They're not headlining Survivor Series. They're not headlining, the Royal Rumble itself. So it's like, it's glass is half full. It's like, you want to act like you're doing progress. You have your own women's pay-per-view where it has like all these women behind it, but you don't really give a shit. You're not going to do another one. So I can't imagine what it's going through. It's like getting your performance review where you've had like kick-ass sales and you've been crushing it all year. You made the company so much money, and like out of 10, they give you a 6. Yeah. And it's like, dude, like that's average. Like that's pretty average. It's like, no, but don't you see that I am above just your average person? Like treat me like I'm above average. And it doesn't happen.
Yeah. And the hardest thing to, when you look at the situation, is to kind of understand WWE's thinking. It really is the most difficult thing. But I think this was, again, I'm going to say this was an eventual separation that was going to happen.
Yes.
It isn't the first time Sasha's gone home. It isn't the first time Sasha's expressed issues with booking. And look, anybody bitching about Sasha, you need to check your Shawn Michaels history. You need to check your Stone Cold history, your Brock Lesnar history. There's no video of Sasha Banks throwing the women's title at Vince in the gorilla position. There's no effing video of that, but there is a Brock Lesnar doing it and him calling him an asshole. So there's, this idea that somehow Sasha is like vilified for this is a complete ass. You have a right. This isn't a person who's working as an accountant at a job. She has a right as an entertainer and a performer to be in the best position possible, because in wrestling, in any sport or performance-based thing, nobody gives a fuck about you until they can use you and make money off you. And when they're done or don't see it, they will push you away as quickly as they pushed you up. So having some agency yourself as a performer, I think, is essential and important. And I know that pisses some people off because they want the quiet, dutiful people, the humble people. But those are 9 times out of 10 the one that get the most abused by people in power, because they know they can rely on them just to be the good soldier. And the one that makes the most noise calling out the bullshit is the one that gets vilified, but also the one that could rise and hit the top of the profession. And I don't know if Sasha even wants to, like people talk about AEW. I think there would be a massive step down for for Sasha. I don't think Sasha wants to be a part of wrestling if it's not going to be the WWE. I think there are other things she can do. Chris, are you back on? Or what do you think here?
I'm back.
Yes, you sound great.
Sounds good.
Thanks,
good.
Thoughts?
I mean, yeah, Sasha, we talked about it before. Sasha has so many options. I mean, maybe she's not coming back in The Mandalorian or whatever, but I mean, her character is part of the lore now. So at any point they want to revisit that can happen. She's got a ton of charisma, ton of personality, ton of everything you'd want in a superstar in Hollywood. She can definitely make that happen. And if she wants to come and do even just like special engagements in AEW and or Stardom or any other promotion around the world, she could at any given time. So Sasha's going to be just fine. Yeah. But I agree with you wholeheartedly, John. It gets really easy to label people who stand up for themselves as like difficult or not a team player or et cetera, et cetera. I mean, look what the company just did with Stephanie McMahon when she took a leave of absence. They buried her, completely buried her, and was like, oh, she wasn't that great of an executive and she wasn't getting her job done, all to save a stock price. And it's like, if they're willing to do that to the boss's daughter, ain't no telling, how you've been.
Yep.
Yeah, we're losing you again.
Yeah. Sorry, Chris. Yeah. Aaron, thoughts on what Chris just said?
I think it's a lot like, we talk about the pandemic a lot, right? And how that changed a lot of people's thinking. And we saw these corporations that were like, you know what? You can go to work with COVID. Like, you'll live.
Yeah.
And like, how many people finally like woke up, saw that, and was like, nah, I can do something else.
Yeah.
I could truly do something else. And I hate to see it. Like, the whole corporate structure of WWE needs an enema. Like, I mean, let's put it as Jack Nicholson would say. Needs an enema. But it's so frustrating because we know how good WWE can be. We know how good these wrestlers are. We know what they could do. We've seen it time and time again. And all they do is they don't care about they care about the fans when it serves them. They don't care about the fans enough all the time to keep you invested. We're going to talk about it. Like, everything so much ties into the Vince McMahon stuff. Like, it's hard to kind of go into it. I don't want to go into it yet, but it's just, everything is down across the board. Ratings are down. AEW's down. AEW's ratings are down. Stock prices are down. The business is in trouble for the first time in a long time. So we'll talk about it more, but damn.
It overexpanded. It's overexpanding. Let's get some of these super chats. Chris Miner saying, are y'all just going to welcome us and leave? I don't know.
I thought about it. It's like, well, nothing happened. See ya.
Peace. Black Cinema Critic saying, I told you, Aaron. I told you she will be gone. You said it would never happen. Never say never. Sasha Banks is never going to be a superstar.
Never say never, and it's not official.
Yeah, right. It hasn't been official, and we're starting to hear rumors about a Money in the Bank or a Royal Rumble or some kind of appearance from her, and this all could be just a little bit of a work with Naomi and all of it. So it's kind of interesting. We shall see. Chris Miner says, if Sasha Banks ends up in AEW, this will be the biggest women's defection in wrestling history outside of Alundra Blaze. In my opinion, I can't think of any huge women defections off the top of my head. No, I think there was talk with Chyna when Chyna left the WWE of her maybe going to WCW or her maybe going someplace else, but it never really happened. But yeah, the Alundra Blaze, I mean, showing up and dropping the title in the trash can, that is massive. But this would be huge. I just don't see her doing it.
No, and I think that Alundra Blaze moment, for all the shock value of it, is overstated because the WWF women's division at the time was nothing. It was Alundra Blaze and like Bull Nakano and people they would bring in that were on the indies. Like, it was nothing.
Right.
And I'm not trying to discount what Medusa Alundra Blaze did in her career. She is a Hall of Famer, but it's like, let's take the temperature of what's going on here. Exactly. It didn't really get pumped up after that. But anywho, yeah, as far as like big female defections, like, I don't know. I guess Toni Storm's a big one, but it's like, it kind of hasn't made that impact just yet, but it could.
Right. Well, Toni Storm wasn't at the level as a multiple-time champion with legendary matches in the WWE. That's what separates that switch than if Sasha were to go. But like you said, it's not official. I think the reason we're getting conflicting reports is because it's still kind of up in the air what's being negotiated, and you're hearing one thing or another. Let's address the Naomi side of things. I don't know if we're going to get Chris back because his connection is just terrible. Yeah, he says the idea goes out after a couple of minutes each time and kicks him out. So we don't know if we're going to get Chris back, but he's going to keep trying to come back. Naomi, let's talk about this situation. I've seen some people in the chat reporting what I've been seeing kind of in the background here is that some of Naomi's friends are reportedly saying that Sasha convinced Naomi to walk out with her. And now what happens to Naomi? Because going back with your tail between your legs here in this situation is not a good look for her. And also you look at the other thing, if Stephanie is going to be in charge, Stephanie hasn't always been the best to the female wrestlers. So she's not. This is going to be a very interesting situation as it plays out here with the investigation, which we are going to get to later on in the show. But you talked, Aaron, what do you think about the Naomi situation? What's going to happen here?
Well, first and foremost, Naomi or Trinity Fatu, the person, is a grown adult woman, and she makes her own decisions. I don't think that Sasha held a gun to her head and said, "We're doing this." I don't think she did that. I think she made that decision on her own. I also think that if Naomi wanted to come back, I think she would be fine. Yeah. And you said you're going to get that damn thing.
I hope so.
You need some chopsticks and Miyagi. But I think that Naomi is in a unique position because who's her husband? Who's her husband?
Right.
Who's their cousin?
One of the Usos, Roman Reigns, The Rock,
the top dog. I mean, I think she's got a little bit. I don't want to say leverage, but I think it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, we'll welcome back. I mean, Zelina Vega said, "I'm starting a union with wrestlers."
Yeah,
she brought her ass back. So
yeah, true.
So it's very possible in the Naomi situation that she will not be as affected as you would think.
Yeah.
Because also, Sasha Banks, no offense to Naomi, is a much bigger name in the business than Naomi. And Sasha Banks, we didn't get to this, but Sasha Banks came out with a statement that said, to conflict even further, said, "This is why I don't get on Twitter. Y'all just be making shit up." So from her own mouth, who knows? But I think Naomi would be fine.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, and this is, our friend Ryan Satin, friend of the show. He had his own run-ins with Sasha Banks in the past with some of the comments that were made and what was true, what wasn't true, all of that, which of course was squashed between them, which is great. But like the thing with Sasha is like and people need to understand, and this is something I'm coming mentally to this place. People who are destined for greatness, the 1%, they act differently. And if you want to judge them through the prism of how a normal person would act, they're always going to come up short. And so you're just looking at this. Sasha is doing what's best for Sasha. And because she understands the commodity that she is. Again, I'm stressing this. She has supreme confidence. We've heard people say in the past from some friends we know in the professional wrestling business that she has been at times difficult to deal with. She can be quite conceited. She can be quite dismissive or aloof. This woman has an internal compass that heads to the top. That's what she believes in herself. What I'm wondering about now with this situation is once you're out of the WWE, what's your new top? What's your next thing? It's not that she was bad in The Mandalorian, but she didn't wow me in The Mandalorian, right? I didn't feel wowed by her like I did with Cena or other Batista or even The Rock to a degree when he finally didn't do Scorpion King. I didn't sense that yet. So will she get those opportunities to show what she can do? She's got the connections with Snoop. Like, what's the avenues here to explore? Will she just become a social media influencer who goes around the country talking about ways to succeed, overcome stuff, writes a book, becomes a in-demand speaker? We saw AJ kind of turn her life into that to a degree, talking about her mental health, talking about the journey she was on, sold a book and what have you. So there's all kinds of possibilities. She's beautiful. She's young. There's all kinds of possibilities for Sasha Banks in this more open world of nebulous jobs and nebulous influencer success, that she can find a niche that works for her, and she can be quite successful carving a path, walking into that niche as a performer.
And I mean, I don't know what her net worth is, but I assume she's not hurting for capital.
Mm-hmm.
So what if she just wants to start a clothing brand? What if she wants to do something like that? Her husband's a seamster. Maybe they want to do something like that. I don't know, but I think she has, like, if she left the wrestling business and didn't want to do shit else for the rest of her life, but just go lay on a beach in Tahiti, sipping margaritas and Mai Tais, she could do that. So it's just, can we, again, I asked the question, can we as wrestling fans accept that? Like, if you want to leave the business, can we accept that she's just going to do her own thing and be fine?
Yeah. Let's hit a couple of Streamlabs. We got 147 of you all watching us right now live. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you hit that like button. Chris is trying to come back. I'm not sure if we're going to get Chris back. It all depends on his iPhone situation because his computer is out. So we will see if he's going to come back, but he's trying to come back. I know that. He's texting me what he's trying to do here. Francisco Lopez says, hey guys, in honor of Father's Day, who do you think is the best father? Eddie Guerrero for Dominic, Mark Henry for the Hand, Kurt Angle for Jason Jordan, or Vince McMahon for Hornswoggle? Also, do you guys know what's going on between AAA and NJPW? So, Aaron, thoughts on the best dad?
Second question first. I do not know what's going on between them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's such a good question. I'm going to go Mark Henry in the Hand because I think it's great. And we got long-term booking because the Hand showed up at WrestleMania and plopped Sami Zayn in the face. So
that's true.
Mark Henry's son got a WrestleMania moment.
He did. Oh, man. I'm going to go with Vince with Hornswoggle because no one saw that come. No, that's wrong. I should go with Eddie Guerrero Dominic. That's the best one.
That's great too.
It led to a number of fantastic matches. And the fact that is still around and that angle outlived the great Eddie Guerrero. It is still something people bring up with Ray and with Dominic. And Ray sometimes still comments on it, which I think is genius. That's the real winner for me, for sure.
And they just made a young Dominic figure.
Yes.
That goes with that. So there you go. It's coming back again.
There you go. And Roberto Arsenal sent it and said, Vince is a sociopath. Minneapolis can suck it for cheering him. WWE is coming to my city in July. I won't go. Not worth it. Wrestling Twitter, for some reason, is either Team Ospreay or Team Rollins. I think Ospreay is slightly better than Seth. Wow. So that broke out, huh? Ospreay, people finally getting to see Will Ospreay on this side of the Atlantic. So thoughts here, Aaron?
Seth Rollins and Will Ospreay have had this amazing Twitter battle of words for a long time now, a couple of years at least.
Yeah.
I'm still a Rollins guy. I think that Will Ospreay, as good as he is a lot like Ricochet. The frustrations that I have with Ricochet, and that's like sometimes it looks like a choreographed fight. And I know you'll say it's wrestling, it's all choreographed. Like, no, you don't understand. Like, it looks like a musical number sometimes. So I just prefer Seth Rollins. I think he's better all around, and I think Will Ospreay is limited in certain sets of moves and stuff.
Well, it's like when you're watching an actor. You can tell when an actor is technically good, but the organic essence of an actor is something you can't teach. And so someone can be really good, hit all the marks, say all the right lines, convey the right emotion, but someone comes along and does the same thing and has that extra level of believability to them so that you forget that it's choreographed. You forget that it's staged and talked out ahead of time. And so it feels real and natural and organic. And that usually makes the difference between someone who really affects you and someone who kind of affects you. So it sounds like that's what you're saying with the Ospreay versus Rollins situation. So I respect that, Aaron, completely. Young boy says, shout out to Orange Cassidy getting cast as Ken in that new Barbie movie.
Man, could you pick a better Ken than Ryan Gosling?
I mean,
and a better Barbie than Margot Robbie. That's like, boom, boom, boom. Good casting.
That's going to be a lot too. We'll see how that plays out because there'll be more Barbies and more Kens apparently. Because Simu Liu is in this thing, Issa Rae is in this thing, so it's a big cast. America Ferrera, it's a big cast in this Barbie movie for sure. I like what J Dog said to us. J Dog said those custody papers are over more than Dominic.
Oh, ouch.
I love it. I love it.
I love talking legal strategy in the chat, and we're going to talk a lot about it.
Here we are. Aaron, what is your final thoughts on Sasha? Is she done with the WWE, or is she going to come back at some surprise pay-per-view sometime later this year? Her and Naomi, or just her?
I think that this might be the end, but not forever. I think that
you'd see her coming back.
We're gonna see what shakes out, dude. Like, we don't even know by the end of the week if fucking Vince McMahon's gonna be there. Yeah, so it's like,
fair point.
If someone else comes in, runs WWE, turns it into the world of rainbows and butterflies, a lot could change.
Yeah, good point. Kenny Williams saying, "LOL, Sasha isn't good. Y'all boosting her. She was decent all around, but she doesn't stand out. LOL." So, can we send a doctor to Kenny Williams' house? Like, I will. Let's take up a collection today for a doctor to go and check on the mental health of Kenny Williams, because that makes no sense, son. I think you've fallen down and hit your head. She is one of the greats to ever do it, in my opinion. Maybe the top woman to ever be a professional wrestler. It's between her and Bayley, in my opinion, right now overall. And we'll see if Charlotte or Becky ever cracks it. I just like Sasha's matches better than Becky's. I really do, or Charlotte's. And with Bayley, sometimes it all depends on the situation. And with Sasha, I'm never disappointed,
I think they all have different traits, and they're always going to be compared to each other, the four horsewomen, no doubt about it. Like, Charlotte is the athlete of the group. She's so athletic, it's ridiculous. And then you have Becky, who has like the personality, like she can just change a character on a dime and just really get under your skin. And then Sasha's kind of like the mixed bag of the two. Like, she could be athletic at times. She can tear you apart on the microphone if she wants. Like, she could be babyface. She could be heel. She can kind of do it all. I would encourage you to watch that Bayley Sasha, the first one, the NXT match. I don't think there's anything better in terms of women's wrestling. And I think that her match with Charlotte at Hell in a Cell is excellent.
Oh, yeah.
Her match with Ronda Rousey is actually not terrible. Like, it's not bad. Like, Charlotte or Sasha Banks. We keep saying Charlotte. It's just always in my head. But like, Sasha Banks, I think this narrative of she never got the respect that she deserves is not true, because I think she gets a lot of respect, and it's warranted. But I think we don't give her enough, if you know what I'm saying. Like, we never want to put her in that top tier. And I think she's there. She's that elite. She's top of the top.
I agree. Kenny coming back saying, "That's your opinion. Check your mental health yourself, bud." Sasha is the most overrated one, along with Becky. Wow. But Kenny does stand for Rhea Ripley, so maybe he's after your heart there, man. I don't know. I don't think
good. Okay, gotcha.
I think Rhea's good. I don't think Rhea's at Sasha level just yet. I think she's getting there. And remember, Sasha's 3 years younger than Bianca, which is kind of crazy to think about as well, Aaron, for sure.
They're all young, dude. Yeah, like, it's insane. I feel like an old geezer at 36. So.
All right, let's move on here. Oh, Justin Toner sent us one here. A Streamlab. He said, "Hi guys, this week was insane with Jeff Hardy's DUI, the Vince scandal, Steph coming back to WWE to be interim CEO, Sasha Banks drama, and then Brock Lesnar returns as well, which has to be because Cody and Orton are out injured. True. The MJF drama has been eclipsed officially." Yeah, Aaron, you think that too?
I didn't even know that Brock Lesnar came back. Like, it was so much news and so much shit like going on, like, that I was reading about. I watched SmackDown, like, I was watching it, and I just like turn it off, fell asleep, whatever.
Yeah.
And then yesterday evening, I was like going through the wrestling like Twitter, and it was like Brock Lesnar came back and beat up Roman Reigns, and I was like, wait. Like, when did this happen? And then it was like, oh, on SmackDown after he beat Riddle, and it's like now going to be Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns again in a last man standing match at SummerSlam. And I was like, what the hell? Like, when did this happen? Jeez, what a good way to deflect.
I know, agreed. Luis Enrique de la Peña says, "Happy Father's Day, fellas. Do you think it would be a good PR move for Stephanie to bring Sasha back? Was it her decision or the board's?" Let's put a pin on that and address that a little bit later. Yeah,
that's a good question, though.
Yeah,
I do
it's a good question. Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. And one last thing, Kenny says, "Don't worry, John Rocha, you will get better one day." Well, bitch, you're watching me. I'm not watching you. So clearly I'm not the one that has the problem about getting better. Let's move on to our next subject here, Aaron. And please keep sending in your Streamlabs and your Super Chats. Got 150 you all watching us. Thank you for joining us on this Father's Day. Hit that like button. And if you're watching later, leave a comment after you hit the like button as well. Comments and likes elevate the visibility of the show. All right, Aaron, where are we going off to next, my man?
And if you're a dad, happy Father's Day. And,
absolutely.
If you're celebrating Juneteenth, right on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. And but wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
I thought this was it, like, for the week. Like, I was typing the notes already. This was it. Like, I was like, we'll get the results. It'll be a short week.
Right.
Jeff Hardy arrested for DUI in Florida. This is Jeff's. Initially, it was third in 10 years, but I looked further, and it's actually Jeff's third DUI in the past 4 years, and the other 2 in North Carolina.
His home state,
Conflicting reports on the blood alcohol level. The local news here reported that it was a 0.294, which is above 3 times the legal limit. It is worth noting that Jeff Hardy has a restriction from a previous conviction that required him to have an interlocker in his vehicle, which I assume is like a blow and go. I didn't really look into that. He was driving he was either driving a rental car or something or his own car, which he obviously did not have a license to do so. Before leaving WWE, Jeff Hardy was asked to go to rehab, which he refused and did pass the subsequent drug test, but it wasn't testing for alcohol. Jeff has, of course, noticeably been off. I think we've been noticing that, especially I think Chris has talked about it a lot in his ring work lately. Jeff has been suspended from AEW until his legal issues are cleared up. Tony Khan came out with that. So I will also break down the timeline that Rebby Hardy has been posting a lot. And I know I know it's kind of like we know about Rebby, but apparently the Hardys, Matt and Jeff, were at a signing/musical performance at Dave & Buster's in Orlando. And then they went back to the hotel, Matt, Rebby, and Jeff, and they had no drinks at the venue. They were specifically told no alcohol for Jeff or anybody. So that was agreed to. So somehow she said between she and Matt going back to her hotel room and Jeff going back to the hotel room, which there is video. She has video of it. That happened. All of this happened. And she said, outside of Jeff sleeping between us, like, there's nothing I can do after that. I did all I could. But she and Matt were getting a lot of shit for it. And I think she's justified and rightfully so. But what do you think about this, dude? Well, like, we've been here before.
I don't feel angry. I just feel sad because I love Jeff Hardy, but I'm not, I saw the local news, the piece they did, and Bill DeMott. And listen, you shouldn't have Bill DeMott about anything, but
that was so weird.
This is something you can talk to him about because he lost his daughter to a repetitive drunk driver. So I understand that he's got a foundation. I understand that he's the one you want to talk to as a former pro wrestler. And he asked questions like, how did this guy get a rental car? How was he in this position? And why was he allowed to be in this position? I don't blame Matt Hardy or his wife because that's ridiculous. None of you who've been with addicts, if you've never been with an addict, rather, you don't know what this disease is like. You don't know how insidious this is. And you cannot watch someone 24/7. That's just asking too much of somebody on so many levels. And if this guy, look, this is Jeff Hardy was at a function the night before. And I've got video of it here off of Twitter. He was at a function the night before talking about the effect of music and alcohol. Like, he was talking about it openly. This is the night before his DUI arrest. It's kind of crazy. And so it's not like he was, showing the signs. So you think maybe he's all right. And then you see him here during this, which I can't do the sound of, but he's trying to stand and he can't even put his 2 feet. You see him stumbling around there. It's very obvious what is happening here with Jeff. And of course, we're getting this video from TMZ, but it's very obvious. You see what's happening with Jeff. So he's having trouble, and you have to ask yourself, well, what's the responsibility? And I think Matt and Rebby did their best. Matt, I think, does deserve a little bit of blame for crowing about Jeff leaving the WWE the way he did, and them kind of putting it in the face of the WWE and saying, Jeff's fine. They're making a big deal out of this. We're going to be signing shit. We're going to be showing up here, showing up there. I think for that, Matt does deserve a little bit of credit, because if you know this guy's in trouble, you don't need to be pumping him up and then putting him out into these situations on the road where stuff could happen to him. You got to stick him in that rehab and make sure he stays in that rehab. And I think that's the situation. I think that's where a little bit of anger or frustration or blame can go. But in the end, I don't know. I don't blame them fully, because, when an addict is going, and they're going to find their ways to get to what they want to get to. And this is clearly the final straw, to be honest with you. He was about to get on the highway, bro. That's scary. They stopped him right before he was getting on 95. And this is daylight, man. This is daylight. He could have slid into families. He was moving really slow, apparently swerving between lanes. So to me, it's just heartbreaking that this is the situation that's happening with Jeff Hardy. And at some point, the goodwill is over and the tough love needs to kick the fuck in really hard. Like, honestly. Yeah.
I mean, this is going to sound like I'm really overblowing it, but I'm just going to tell you, like, do you know who lives in Volusia County, Florida? Me, my wife, my in-laws, my sister.
Yeah.
You know who lives near where Jeff Hardy was arrested? All of us. So, you know who was driving that day? Us. Yeah. Like, he could have fucking killed us. I'm so
very possible
sick of Jeff Hardy getting the benefit of the doubt. And I've seen it on Twitter a million times. It drives me fucking crazy.
Yeah. People love him.
When the Hardy, and I get that.
Yeah,
when the Hardys came back to WWE and Jeff like almost instantly won the US title and then he was gone because he had another arrest. I was like, I'm fucking done with Jeff Hardy. Like, I'm so done with this crap. I'm so sick and tired of it. Then he comes back and it's like, all right, Jeff seems to be doing okay. Let's give him a chance. And then like he does the thing where he goes in the crowd, which is now you're looking at like that at a different thing, the WWE ending. You're like, okay, you're looking at this a different way. Then he goes to AEW and I have to say, like, I think AEW has a little bit of blame because you're putting Jeff in these Jeff and Matt, you're putting Jeff and Matt in these scenarios where they're fucking jumping off of ladders, jumping off of stuff through tables, when obviously in that Young Bucks match, Jeff is hurt.
Yeah.
Matt is walking around. Matt Hardy walks around like Mick Foley.
Yeah,
like truly, like these dudes, as great as they are, as wonderful as they were as a tag team, and the Hardy Boys as the 2000s and Ring of Honor and Impact and the delete. It's great. They're all-timers, legends. They don't need to do this shit anymore. Right. And I'm so sick and tired of it, dude. Like, Jeff Hardy, to me, done.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Jeff Hardy in a ring ever again. I think to put him in a ring on a national stage, an indie promoter, I can't stop that.
Yeah.
And I can't really stop Tony Khan from doing it, but it's like, it's too late. It's too late. The damage has already been done. Yeah, he didn't kill anybody this time or the other two times. What about the fourth time? What if he kills a fucking bus full of nuns? Is that what it's going to take?
What if he kills himself?
What if he kills himself?
Like,
what if he kills his kid?
That at the base level, yeah.
What if he kills his kid? Like, it's just like, what the fuck?
Or his brother.
If this is anybody else that's not a legend, if this is fucking some jerk off in NXT that does this, they're fucking fired immediately. Yeah. But because it's Jeff Hardy, because he has this cachet and he's loved by the fans, and for all intents and purposes, seems like an excellent guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
This ain't it, dude. I'm sorry, Jeff. This ain't it. And for Jeff Hardy to be arrested and on TMZ with guns drawn at him because he won't get out of the fucking car.
Guns drawn, man.
And then when he gets out of the car, what shirt is he wearing? Jacksonville Jaguars. Way to represent your squad. And not only that, all the news headlines that I saw, especially locally, never said AEW star Jeff Hardy. It said former WWE superstar Jeff Hardy. So it's a mess, dude. And I don't want to see Jeff Hardy in a wrestling ring ever again. Only as like getting your flowers and leaving, because these guys should not be in the ring and they should not be wrestling, and they definitely should not be doing swantons onto sets of stairs. Like, we're done here. You got too much to live for. Stop doing it. Jeff, I hope you get the help you need, but fuck you at the same time.
Fair. Hey, Matt Hardy was on his podcast here, the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy podcast with John Alba earlier this week, talking about it. He said, of course, quote, Jeff was so remorseful, so embarrassed. But then this is the third offense in 10 years. Okay. So this is not over the 40, because he's 44. It's not over the 23-year period where he's been allowed to drink. This is just, over the last 10 years. And Matt said that he thinks that it's the issues come from, quote, our mother dying when he was so young, and that he's carried it with him, quote, deeply, and said that because their mom, Ruby, died of brain cancer when Matt was 12 and Jeff was 9. He says after speaking with Jeff, he like hates himself, and I think that's a part of it too. He has to know, obviously, what he did was atrocious and terrible decision making, but then also he has to know that people love him. It's very important at the end of the day. It all comes down to the individual. You have to keep yourself in check and be on top of yourself. You're the only person that can really ensure you're not going to go awry or go in a bad direction. And he's just, he called his brother's situation disheartening to hear. Also on the podcast, addressed his future in AEW without Jeff after the two just reunited. And he said, as far as that, what I'm going to do going forward, I'm sure I will be doing something in some capacity on AEW. I'm going to change it up a little bit, tweak things a little bit, and try to make some magic happen. So it's weird to be talking about it like, oh, well, what are you going to do next in AEW? And it's like, that should be the least of your fucking concerns as the brother of Jeff Hardy, right? I mean, but I don't know. These guys operate in a certain way. You talk about lifers. This is part of being, this is kind of like the weirder part of being a lifer is that like, you're just constantly thinking about what you're going to do next after this situation or obstacle is overcome. What am I going to do with my character next? And that feels a bit inhuman, to be honest with you, because the focus should be, we're going to get Jeff the help he needs. We're going to get Jeff, we're going to put him in a harder facility. We're going to make sure he's locked down. Then I will focus on my future. Then I will think about what I'm going to do next. I think that's got to be the thing, the approach here from Matt, already thinking about what he's going to do with his character. Are these guys financially hard up? Is this the situation?
There's no way.
Right? This concerns me. Like, take a fucking break and take care of your brother. Like, be there. I don't know. It just seems weird to me on so many levels, brother.
I know who can do this. Who can do this. Diamond Dallas Page.
Oh, great.
Diamond Dallas Page can do this.
Suggestion, man.
Because look what he did for Jake. Look what he did for Hall while Hall was still with us. He's doing it right now for Buff Bagwell. Like,
absolutely.
Jeff goes to DDP. Like, that would be great. And Jeff Hardy. Okay, so here's the difference. Like, John Moxley goes to rehab, realizes he has an issue, goes to rehab, comes back. People are happy that you're recovered. And I'll talk about from the wrestling perspective, even though we probably shouldn't, but let's say Jeff does go to rehab. He's gone for 6-9 months. He's just clean, sober. He comes back to AEW. The greatest babyface return ever, because it's fucking Jeff Hardy, and he's recovered, and we love Jeff. That could be a huge thing for him too, even though I don't want to see him in the ring anymore. But it's just the wrestling. The thing about Matt too is, and I love Matt. Yeah, I do. Yeah. But if he's not with Jeff, do you give a shit about Matt Hardy and AEW?
I got to be honest with you. I don't.
You don't. But if he's with Jeff, it's like, all right, cool. Yeah. It's the Hardy Boys. I'll watch that. Right. So it's like, I think Matt's had his own issues too, and I just think that it's we're apologizing for Jeff a lot. I'm sorry if his mother, if that all is happening. I know, of course, that's awful. But we've got to find ways that we're not harming each other. We're not harming people. We're not putting people in harm's way. That's the issue that I take. Right. That I take umbrage with. If Jeff Hardy is drunk at home and passes out and like twists his ankle on the stairs, whatever. Right. But when Jeff Hardy is driving a motor vehicle in the state of Florida, which I don't know, well, the fucking interstate in Florida, good God. Yeah. It's like doing the trench run. Like, I mean, come on, dude. Like, there's the fact that he didn't get hurt himself or hurt anybody else is incredible. Yeah, that should be a shirt. It absolutely is, the trench run. James Jones in here said, Jeff has to want it. I'm a peer recovery specialist in drug court. Saved my life since Jeff left. He looks like Impact all over again. This is his third time in 4 to 5 years. Yeah, James, I hear you. Absolutely. You got to want it. James. Yeah, exactly. And thanks for doing the work you do, James, for people. I'm sure you've saved some lives with the people you've helped. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, you've got to want it. Exactly. You've got to want to change. And Jeff, clearly now, third time falling off the wagon in such a concentrated amount of time shows you that he may not 100% want it. There's something he's getting out of it. And that's the ugly truth of addiction or of going through repetitive patterns that end up self-harming you, is that you in some way are getting something out of this. And so either some kind of momentary satisfaction or some kind of apathy, you're enjoying being the victim or being looked down upon, you're getting something out of this whole behavior. You've got to figure out what that is, because once you unlock that and untangle those wires, that's the process of coming back out of the darkness and into a sober place. I was watching recently the documentary on Lawrence Taylor and hearing about all the shit Lawrence Taylor did with the drugs, with crack, with, getting caught with underage prostitute, I think it was. Those things are just insane, but you're going through it because you've got a lot of self-hate that you're negotiating, navigating, and guilt for how you treated your kids, how you treated your wife at the time, all those things. You've got to untangle those wires, forgive yourself, and then reconnect the wires so that you can have a better existence and a better life. And there are plenty of resources out there
And DDP is a great suggestion, Aaron. But there are plenty of former athletes or former performers who, have people they can recommend and they can suggest. This feels to me like Matt and Jeff are like old school country down home guys. And I grew up in Virginia. I know those guys who are not willing to admit this stuff. They're going to handle it in-house. They're going to deal with it in-house. And some people are going to pay the price until they get out of dealing with it in-house and bring outside professional help in to be a little more harsher, a little more tougher, a little more stronger. And I don't want to be cynical, but my concern is Matt needs Jeff to make the money. So he doesn't want to sideline him for an extended amount of time because that'll affect their bottom line. And that would really piss me the fuck off if that's even in a small way true. And it's not out of the realm of possibility. I'm not trying to denigrate Matt, but it's certainly possible.
I really hope that's not the case. Something else we didn't even talk about was that when Jeff was being questioned by the police, he said, I'm having some brain scans done.
Yeah.
This is where I fold my arms and I look over again at AEW and I say, hey, TK, you got a fucking guy that's going to go for brain scans and you put him in a fucking triple threat ladder match.
Right.
Where you know he's going to take a stupid bump. You know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
What are we doing, dude? Like,
another great point here. Someone brings up Justin Toner saying, hey, look what happened to Tammy. She got into a big car accident and killed someone and is facing jail time. That could be, all the non-action or all the not hard enough action or harsh enough action could lead to Jeff killing somebody. Then he's in jail for the rest of his life. What was the point of it if you didn't address it? And we're getting dangerously close to that point. If he doesn't go to jail this time, or if he doesn't go to a harsher clinic this time, we're getting dangerously close to that possibility. And that is a shame. And it could be a wrestling fan that he kills. It could be someone who is, it could be family. As you said, could be a bus full of nuns or something. Or it could just be simply himself, and that's the shame of it all. So,
and the thing with Tammy too is Tammy came out and said, I was having a seizure. That's why I wrecked. Turned out that's not the case. And then you're like, well, maybe she could just be sympathetic that she fucking killed somebody. Well, I saw her on Twitter the other day. She's giving 10% off on her OnlyFans, showing new pics. Like, what the fuck? Like, you people disgust me sometimes.
Yeah. Maybe the WWE does need us to. Maybe Matt could get off the pride situation and the WWE could step in here. They have a track record of getting people into rehab and helping most of them. So that could be an issue too, that they reach out. Of course, they're dealing with their own shit, which we're going to get to here.
They are.
Yeah, but there's a possibility here as well. So we'll see. For sure. Let me check, see if any Streamlabs have come through. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're here on a Father's Day. We got 160 y'all watching us right now. Send in some support. Send in the Streamlabs super chats to say thank you for us doing the show. And any questions, thoughts, or comments you want to send to us, please feel free to do so. Send the super chat or the Streamlabs address, which is pinned in the chat. Send it in and give us some love. All right, my man, where are we off to next? Is it time for the big story?
Oh man, just when you think it couldn't get any crazier, the WWE board of directors is reported, well, I don't think it's reportedly, is looking into a reported $3 million payment to a former paralegal that allegedly had a relationship with Vince McMahon. The board sent out an email on March 30th that alleged McMahon hired this paralegal at a $100,000 salary. I don't know what paralegals make, but I assume it's not that much.
It's not $100,000.
I don't think so. Yeah. Maybe actual legal attorney, but then increased that amount within a year to $200,000 after starting a sexual relationship with said employee. And then when the employee was gone for the company, Vince allegedly paid her $3 million in severance. The email also alleges that the paralegal employee was given, quote unquote, like a toy to head of talent relations John Laurinaitis, who is currently married to his wife Kathy Laurinaitis,
who is
the mother of Brie and Nikki Bella. Of course, former current WWE Hall of Famers and talent. And now Vince McMahon, according to Variety, and this has come out across the board, Vince has stepped away as CEO, and in his place, Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie McMahon.
My God, is that Stephanie's music?
Goddamn, it's Stephanie McMahon is the CEO of WWE. By God, the alliance. It took 22 years, but goddamn it, Stephanie is running the company. I can't believe it. It's not a storyline. But all of this, and then I just heard.
Oh, there's more.
I don't know if this is true, and I really fucking hope it isn't.
Okay.
But apparently, Kathy Laurinaitis is dealing with brain cancer.
Oh my God.
So this is all going on while Laurinaitis, his wife, is fighting brain cancer.
Oh.
What the fuck is going on? But that's horrible in itself.
Oh.
But the main focus here is Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Yeah.
77 years old, 76?
Yeah.
Having an affair like 3 years ago. So he's 74. She was 41, whatever. It was a consensual relationship.
That's what they're claiming. His side is claiming it was consensual.
There's no assault. So let's get out of that. Let's get
no accusations of assault by her side. Yeah.
So let's get out of that for a second.
Yeah.
But, if you follow the McMahon family, you would know that allegedly Vince and Linda have not been together for a long time.
Yes.
Vince has property. Vince resides in Stamford, and he also has a place in Boca Raton, Florida, that apparently Linda lives in Boca while Vince lives in Connecticut next to his buddy Ron Howard.
Yeah.
So that's been known.
Right.
Also before the steroid trial, it was known that Vince McMahon had an affair. It was out there. It was a real thing that Vince McMahon had an affair with, I forget her name. But anyway, just long story short, Vince McMahon, $3 million. And the only reason, John, we know that this is coming to light is because it's a board of directors and they don't want Vince McMahon to be paying out $3 million to anybody, especially a sexual impropriety affair, with company money. Right. If it was Vince's own shit, they wouldn't care. But because it's company money, we're looking into it. So give me your thoughts on what you thought when you heard it and what you think now.
Well, I tweeted it out what my initial thoughts were, which was I never thought I'd live to see the day where Vince McMahon voluntarily stepped back from being the CEO of WWE. I thought, like most people, they'd have to take him out kicking and screaming out of that company. But in the end, he's stepping away for now, but he's maintaining control of creative, which of course is useless of a gesture to make him step back as the CEO of WWE, because he's still dictating what's going to happen and how they're going to make money or whatever. And Stephanie coming in is akin to Linda Snyder taking over the Washington Commanders after Dan Snyder said, I'm not going to be involved in day-to-day operations. Let's put my wife in charge of it. Like, they're not going to talk about the Commanders all day, every day, at night, daytime, whatever about. So it's ridiculous that Stephanie, who WWE was burying when they told her to go home, or she said she was going home for family issues, they immediately buried her a la the Red Sox. And we're like, she wasn't that good of her job. And as you mentioned earlier, Aaron, she lost money here. Nick Khan is doing a better job bringing money into the company. But now all of a sudden they want to install her as CEO.
Yeah.
I'll go backwards here. The Stephanie thing, I think, is just brand saving or face saving from the WWE. Let's put a woman in charge.
And a McMahon.
Exactly. We're attacking. This is an allegation connected to a woman, or number of women, rather. Let's put a woman in charge. So it makes it seem as if we really care about women. And let's put someone in charge, though, that would have Vince's ear, because we don't have anyone else to put in that position. And, we can't say too much, but we also hear about stuff behind the scenes with Triple H and Stephanie. What's that all about? We don't know yet. When that comes to light, it'll come to light. But that could be a part of this equation as well, because a lot of people would rather see Triple H be the CEO and dictating what's happening, but he's got health issues. So let's get to Vince. The reason the board is pissed is not about the $3 million. That's just embarrassing, but Vince says he paid it out of his own pocket. So that's a separate situation. What they're pissed off about and what they're questioning is Vince giving her $100,000 raise as soon as the affair started, because that is company money, Aaron. And apparently he has a practice or a repetitive pattern of doing this with other women in the company. Yep. So when they're going backwards, what they're investigating, and he made them all sign NDAs, and what they're investigating now is how many of these affairs or these relationships has Vince been a part of or participated in and used company money, the board's money, to pay off these women without telling the board that this was happening. So, someone said it's Shakespeare. It's not Shakespeare. It's fucking Jerry Springer. It is not Shakespeare. It's Jerry Springer. It's a low level, low rent, low common denominator type of shit. And so this is the behavior that you're seeing. And like you said, people pretty much know Vince and Linda are not together, and they do their own thing. And it's a marriage of convenience for money and what have you, and political power. Fine. That's fine. But this whole idea of abusing money, this is where the rubber hits the road. And I wonder what the board is going to do. And this may finally be the thing that ushers Vince out of the WWE. And, I mentioned Dan Snyder earlier. Snyder is facing the same kind of problems here with the NFL, because there are a few employees that have come out recently and said that he was not giving the money and the cut of the money that he was supposed to the overall kitty that all the teams share. So if that comes to light and they find evidence that Daniel's been holding back on the money, that's where they're finally going to go after him. Not the sexual harassment shit, unfortunately, not the sexual assault stuff, unfortunately. No, it's going to be hey, wait, you took money out of our pockets as owners. That's where these companies actually care about shit, is when it's money that's get taken out of their pockets. And we're seeing that here with the Vince situation. So, and him coming out and SmackDown, which, by the way, shot the ratings through the roof.
As it should have.
Yeah, he's a diabolically smart motherfucker. He came out there for literally 45 seconds, played to the crowd, which was cheering him on, which was insane, and said, now forever and together is the most important thing. SmackDown's here, and then took off and dropped the mic and high-five fans as if he thinks he's untouchable in this situation. So the fact that the board let him essentially do a swan song on their time, on their dime, is some seriously morally corrupt shit that they could have done. So there are so many things wrong with this situation. And I don't know, Aaron, in the end, that Vince is going to not be fired. Like, there's a possibility he just rides this out, pays a fine, and stays where he's at.
Who put it in the chat? I heard it too on Cornette's podcast. He goes into it in detail.
Yeah.
But somebody on Reddit looked up how Vince could be removed as CEO by the board. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if they wanted to, they probably could. And
oh yeah,
what's insane about all of this is that Vince, he's the Teflon Don, right? Like, Vince comes out with all the hubris in the world, trying to fucking take me down, pal. It's just not gonna happen. And it's insane to think about. And I just want to follow up on the Kathy Laurinaitis thing real quick. Apparently she had some issues with Bell's palsy as well. So let's just add that onto the fire.
Jesus.
She had a tumor removed on her brainstem. So it doesn't appear to, it's benign, or her cancer is benign now. So it doesn't appear to be still ongoing, but it does say she does suffer quite severe after effects from that surgery. So that's John Edwards, if you remember that level shit going on there. But it's Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Shane McMahon, Triple H. That's the castle of WWE. The castle is crumbling.
Yeah.
And I never thought I'd see the day. Yeah. But here's the deal. It couldn't come at a worse time.
Yeah.
Like I said, ratings are down across the board. Not just WWE, AEW, everything's down. The creative is awful. The shows are shit. And they just let go of 200 people in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
But we can pay $3 million to a paralegal to not talk about fucking Johnny Ace?
Yeah.
Give me a fucking break. We can't pay Bray Wyatt, but we'll pay this woman to not say that she had sex with Johnny Ace. And it's crazy because it's Vince. It's Vince. And who would have thought that somebody finally would have got the king?
Yeah.
Somebody's got him. I don't know if it'll fully take him down.
Yeah.
But
Aaron, that's the next phase of the next step of this, man. Who did this? Who leaked this? Who wanted to come after the king? A lot of people. Yes, a lot of people. I've seen the memes online. Nick Khan putting the final stone in the Infinity Gauntlet and doing the snap Was it Nick Khan who did this? Because Shane was unceremoniously drummed out of the WWE earlier this year with that Royal Rumble debauchery. Stephanie was sent home. I'm not sure what Linda is doing. And then you've got Vince here, and Nick may be the guy who is angling to just destroy everybody. And even putting Stephanie in this position now, he knows she's not powerful. And she may be well liked by some of the wrestlers in the back and not well liked by some of the wrestlers in the back. But Khan knows that he put someone in there who's a questionable CEO to run the company so that it can be shaky, and he can say, do we really want the daughter of the guy we just fired or let go or pushed out to run the company? That doesn't make any sense. Someone from the outside like me should run this thing, or he could appoint someone that is chummy with him to run the company, and that's that. So that could be the completion of this. But who leaked this? Someone leaked this. The Wall Street Journal, because the investigation has been going on since April, apparently, and the Wall Street Journal just issued the report earlier this week. So every move that's been made by the WWE since April, you could question how much they knew about this report coming, how much they knew about this investigation, and if all these moves were being done as a result of the investigation and what they were hearing through their own sources as it was going along.
Young boy in the chat says Vince is Goro and Nick Khan is climbing that Mortal Kombat tower. How is Vince not Shao Kahn? Let's stop that right there. Come on, Shao Kahn. But okay, so let's say the unimaginable happens and that Vince McMahon is removed as CEO. Here's the deal. I don't think they'd make Stephanie the permanent CEO.
No, I don't think that makes any sense at all.
I think you have a couple of possibilities. And I think Chris said this weeks ago, or maybe you did. Someone said it. What if Nick Khan's buddy, Dwayne Johnson, comes in? They're like, you know what? Yeah. You know what, Rock? You be the fucking CEO. Oh. Like, what if The Rock is the CEO? And then I have another scenario, which would just blow my mind and make me want to just put my head through a wall.
Yeah.
What if the new CEO of WWE, I shit you not, is Jeff fucking Jarrett? Jeff Jarrett!
Again, that's a move that was made after the April investigation started. That move was recent. So that could very well be a possibility that son of a bitch fails upwards all the way to be the CEO of the WWE. And I say son of a bitch affectionately. That could be insane to think about. Someone mentioned Cody Rhodes in the chat. No way.
Yes. CEO. Adrenaline. I fully thought he was going to come out and be like, the acting CEO is Cody Rhodes.
Listen up, slapnuts. I'm in charge now. I don't know, dude. I mean, it's just kind of crazy to think about who would be sliding. I don't think The Rock would do it because there's such a demand on you to be CEO of the WWE, Aaron, unless they change the power structure where he wouldn't necessarily be that involved in creative. It's only about saving the business. Then I think that'd be a very, very interesting challenge for The Rock. But at the end of the day, it's not his company. And if he wanted a company that was his, the $7 Productions, that's what he takes pride in, and that's all down to The Rock. He gets the credit. If he comes in and saves the WWE name is always going to be bigger than The Rock. It will. And so him saving the company is a nice thing to do, and he'll get a little bit of shine from it, but it won't be his company. If he bought the company, that's a whole nother ballgame. You know?
I think it would be a name only, and I don't think they'd do it. Like, he would obviously not run it. He would just be the figurehead, kind of like he is in the XFL. But anyway.
How dare you?
Someone mentioned it.
Danny's running that thing. Danny Garcia. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, of course, she's a genius. But someone mentioned it in the chat. Yeah, Vince McMahon also has that lawsuit with Oliver Luck too.
Right.
Like, that's going on.
That's right.
It's like, what the hell? Like, is this the time that Vince goes to? And then Cornette said it, and I think it might be true. He said, "Listen, if Vince goes down, the whole fucking business goes down."
Probably.
Because like you said, it's never been at a lower point in terms of interest and all this stuff.
It's a great comment.
He's like, it's going down. Vince goes down, it all goes down.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, God, could you imagine this thing that I've loved since I was 6 years old, 30 years, could be dead in a week? It's unbelievable.
How crazy would it be if someone, like, I gotta think of myself. I gotta think back to February and think to myself, like, Shane had a golden opportunity here, man. He had a goal. Come back to the company, program something that isn't about kissing his own ass, stay in good favor with the boys in the back and the ladies in the back, get himself back in the function. And then when this happens, Shane being CEO makes a lot more sense than Stephanie. Shane has a track record of being successful outside the WWE with other businesses, and he could essentially be that CEO that walks the line, which is, yes, he is a McMahon, but he's always kind of shunned being a part of the WWE in the executive sense of the word. So people who should rule are the people who don't want to rule. A lot of people believe in that. So having Shane come in and be a little bit more of a magnanimous leader, that could be interesting. But his programming or his booking again in Royal Rumble completely destroyed that possibility as an image thing. And that's such a shame. That is such a shame, because now I really don't know what's going to happen, but I have an ugly sinking feeling that old man is going to outlive this or override this thing and be back in position again within months. They'll have done the investigation. They'll find him some money of his personal money to put back into the company. And then they'll just eventually, kind of brush this under the rug and what have you. And so it just seems, they brought back so many people who've done terrible things in the past, Aaron, to the company, because that's what's best for business. So why wouldn't Vince qualify for that overall as well?
I think Shane, in terms of Shane, let me answer your thing about Shane real quick or rebut that. Like, Shane, I think, has enough money to where he's like, get me the fuck away from all of this. I don't want anything to do with this. And you and Chris and I were all talking, and we heard the news at the same time.
Yeah.
With this stuff about, the McMahon family and Stephanie and Triple H and Vince and Shane. It ain't over, guys. Like, if it all comes out, it ain't over. So we got a long way to go. I do want to come back to Luis Enrique's question about does Stephanie hire Sasha back as a PR move?
Yeah.
I think it's very possible. I think that would be a good PR move to show, hey, we're different. We're listening to people. So, fuck, I could see it. That's a good point. But then again, Stephanie is also, she's also beholden to that board. And they don't like to be embarrassed, and they were just embarrassed by Sasha Banks. So,
and look, Stephanie's net worth is around $150 million.
Woo! So
she doesn't need to be CEO to live her life. She was taking that leave of absence to concentrate on her family, and we'll see what the true reason that down the road, whenever that comes out. She issued a statement saying, until the conclusion of the investigation into recent allegations, I am honored to assume the role of interim chairwoman and CEO. I love WWE and all it continues to do to entertain billions around the world. Vince said he would accept the findings of this investigation. So, is this Vince's way, in a way, with the board, working out a deal where he still retains some level of control unofficially as Stephanie's father in this situation? Because we haven't seen Stephanie's ability to lead much other than the branding situation, which WWE's own mouths put her down and denigrated. So what does a WWE business led by Stephanie McMahon, with the board being a larger part of the say of what happens here, look like?
I guess we're going to find out. I guess we're going to find out over the next couple months. I think that, and this is going to sound shitty, but I think that if this was around WrestleMania time, Vince would not have stepped away. Because I think
100%.
I think Vince would have just ran right through it. Now that we're kind of in that lull between, we got SummerSlam coming up next month or in August. So it's kind of like a lull period for the next 6 weeks. So we got Money in the Bank, that's whatever. But it's in 6 weeks, Vince could be the guy again right before the giant pay-per-view. So it's kind of weird timing. It feels almost too perfect of timing that Stephanie could probably lead him to SummerSlam. I think it'd probably be fine. I don't think it's going to take years if the whole business collapsed.
Yeah, because look, the big key part of the report says where he passed her to Laurinaitis like a toy, right? That's a description. That's a description. That's an ugly description. It infers a real dehumanization of a woman, turning her into just a sex object to be used by two old men. And, when I think of Toni Storm and what she said recently, a couple of weeks ago in that podcast, talking about how it was Laurinaitis and Pritchard and McMahon who approved the angle. They wanted to have her clothes ripped off to her underwear. And I went off on that on the show a couple of weeks ago, saying dirty, perverted old men should not be in charge of young women's careers in the WWE and professional wrestling at all. That should not be what happens here. So that kind of thing leads me to believe that they fostered a culture of using young women as sexual playthings. In the end, though, if it was all consensual, they're not going to really have a strong foundational thing to move Vince out. And I mean that by interviewing the other women, they all say it's consensual because they might be able to, with an investigation, to be like, don't worry about the NDA. It doesn't apply here. You can speak the truth. I'm not sure what the legal ramifications of all of that are. These women speak. If none of them say that they were assaulted by Vince or Laurinaitis or anybody involved in the Johnny Ace, whoever you want to say, if they say that, then they have very little, the board does, legal standing to move Vince out. If they find that he's made repeated payments to these women at the expense of their bottom line, that's where it's all going to come down to. So that's why I think the board's going to take a long, hard look at this. And what you bring up with Cornette is actually an excellent point. If the old man goes down, does the whole business go down? We know that. I've read this stat before about father businesses. When they hand them off to their kids, 70% of them go bankrupt within 5 years. That's legitimate. And so does Stephanie or does Shane really convey that kind of Vince aura? No. Does Triple H? Possibly. And so this is where they're going to have to figure out, like, well, do we take the publicity hit, and just fine him a little bit and say for 6 months he's not going to be CEO, or do we permanently move him out and take our chances? So this is what is going to be interesting to watch as this story goes along and the investigation wraps up and we get those findings,
Dude, it's great. Everything is looked under a microscope now, because it's like, remember when he had Trish bark like a dog, and he got, like, they had a lawsuit from Sable about sexual harassment. So it's like, how much of these are legit? How many have we not heard about?
Right.
Like, there was the story that came out a couple of years ago about Ashley Massaro, the former WWE diva, that was assaulted at a U.S. Army base during a tribute for the troops tour that they covered up. And it's like, where does this go? Like, there's, people say that Vince used to have these meetings with the divas, and like Laurinaitis was there, and it's like, where does this go? Like, we're never gonna know all of it. And it's so insane. And someone in the chat, I think it was Red Comment in the chat, said Triple H has been waiting for this forever, and now he can't do it. Yeah. Because his fucking heart will explode. Right. But it's crazy. And I don't even mean like the corporate structure of WWE will crumble. I mean the business. Yeah. The business. Because without WWE, do you give a shit about anything else? If AEW doesn't have anything to run up against, then their whole system becomes bloated. Yeah. Tony doesn't have enough time to be that guy. Yeah. Like, you all think that he wants to be Vince McMahon. He can't, dude. He's got so much other stuff. He can't. He
needs Vince as a comparison to AEW.
Yes.
The Rebel always needs the corporation. The Rebel cannot exist without the corporation. Once the corporation crumbles, the Rebel becomes the corporation and a new Rebel shows up. That's the natural order of things. So Tony may want to be WWE down the road. He does not want to be WWE now. They don't have the corporate infrastructure for that. They don't have the money for that. They don't have the demands. He just bought Ring of Honor. So imagine all this influx of WWE talent coming in. Imagine the drama, the backstage politics, the broken hearts, the angry feelings, all that stuff that'll happen. And then who do you listen to? In terms of booking and storyline, what do you got? And what new deals are you negotiating? Do people know that since you're the only one on the block, they can price gouge you like crazy for renting their stadiums, renting their locations, their amphitheaters, wherever you want to put these on at their arenas? All of that can be possible here. So, and where are the corporate sponsors? Are the corporate sponsors going to show up for AEW? These are the questions you look at here, because you're right. I don't think he's ready. I don't think he wants to be WWE just yet. I think he likes that it's building to that, but he doesn't want to be WWE just yet.
And you mentioned the sponsors, and that's another question I had. What does Peacock or NBC Universal think of this? What does Fox think of this? What does like the foreign TV markets think of this? Like, I don't know if WWE's still on TSN in Canada. Like, what do they think of that? You know, it's not like Fox News didn't run the story. Like, that was their top news was the Vince thing. Like, Fox News ran it.
That's really shocking, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like everybody wants to know, because Vince is truly like the Zeus of this thing. And it's like someone released the fucking Kraken on Vince McMahon. And now, like you said, like, you need that. Tony Khan needs that. Batman needs the Joker, man. Like, you got to have him. So it's like, it's insane. It's just, that's the only word that keeps coming to my head, is like, this is insane. Like, this is something I never thought I would see in my lifetime. I thought Vince would die.
Yeah.
And that would happen. And then someone else would take over when Vince became 105.
Yeah.
Fucking low pan. Vince is low pan. He's low pan.
No, but I think one last thing we got to make sure we address here, and I'm talking about this on the heels of watching the documentary last night, or half of it on Netflix, the one from the FLDS people, Pray and Be Sweet and Obey, or something like that, about what do you call it? The sect of Mormons who are super into polygamy and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but you're watching how these older men or men groom these women from birth to accept a certain construct of male-female relationships. And essentially what you're seeing now exposed here is the Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, Bruce Pitcher, Johnny, all these people involved here, point of view on female relationships or females in the business, you know, and I think this is telling. And the quicker you move those guys out and you say we might lose the business, we might, the less damage we hopefully will be seeing from women who work in the company, A, and B, who are wrestlers as well in the ring and performers. We might have a better, more just kind of, I don't know, just a better vibe, better feeling for women to exist in these larger corporations, you know? So that's another part of this too. We're seeing the curtain pull back a little bit on the corporate culture of how these men in power view women. The fact that you're hearing that term gave her to Laurinaitis like a toy. That is that's rough, man. That is some rough language to use. Yeah. All right.
I saw someone in the chat saying like Harvey. I don't know if it was a super. Okay, it was a super chat. So
Let's get to them all. Let's get to them all, because we had about 3 of them come in. Ladies and gentlemen, send in your Streamlabs and super chats here. We're nearing the end of the show, so send in some stuff to support. If you've been enjoying our conversation, the Streamlab address is pinned in the chat. Empire Fan 1980 says Nick is the emperor, putting all the pieces in place for Order 66. LOL.
Killing fucking younglings and everything? Just who gives a just mowing motherfuckers down? Like, God, he really is Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. He's like, seriously, like,
it was funny till it became
stone from Vince's forehead.
He's gonna kill him twice. He's gonna turn the time back.
And then Cody comes in when Thanos goes to punch and like stops him for a minute.
Right. You should aim for the head, Cody. Yeah, always coming up short, Cody. Black Cinema Critic saying Harvey Weinstein, hold my beer. Vince is an older man than Harvey. He could have bumped shoulders with those high society types. Yeah, I guess so.
Listen, Jerry McDivitt is a very powerful lawyer, so I'm going to say, alleged. This is all alleged. We don't know exactly what happened, so allegedly these things happen. But at this time, what is being said is consensual, and that's the difference between the Weinstein and the Vince thing right now.
Yeah,
is consent is the word.
Yes, consensual.
Where other things were non-consensual and a crime.
Right.
Having an affair with your wife, I don't think is a crime. Maybe in the Bible, I don't know. But
right.
That's the difference between the two. But yes, could Vince know these people? Yeah, but if we know Vince, we know that he eats, breathes, and sleeps wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and also Cornette said this too. He said, Vince McMahon is a fucking billionaire. You're telling me that he couldn't afford a high-class sex worker to come in there? He's like, he's got to fuck somebody in the office? Like, what an idiot.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with Jeff, right? Jeff can't get an Uber? You tell me he can't afford an Uber? No, he has to do it himself. These guys, man, they like the power. The thing is, it's not about that. It's not about, it's what people say, oh, castrate the rapist. No, the rapist is going to rape with or without his penis. It is about power. The same thing here. Vince being able to call the how can I say this? The violation of the ethics of going after someone you work with, starting an affair with her, there's some kind of power high he gets from that he won't get from someone he hired because it's or he's paid to be an escort, because that's you paying for a service. Okay. There is still something about the ego stroke of getting a woman for men and for heterosexual men, I should say. There's a power stroke for them. There's an ego stroke for them, especially as they get into the 70s, still being able to say to themselves when they look in the mirror, you still got it, pal. You know, that kind of stupidity. That's the kind of way a brain thinks. A male brain thinks. It's not about, I could have paid for it. No, I got to get it. Jeff getting in that car is, I can fucking do it. I can get there. I know I'm drunk. I know I shouldn't be here, but I trust myself. I can get there. And that's usually what leads you into problems. And we're seeing it here, both Vince and Jeff in problems because they indulge their male ego, you know, and that's the truth of it. Men, I hate to break it to you. That's the fucking truth about us. So take a look at that.
You think Vince saw Caligula and he goes, it's not a bad idea.
I could do that, pal.
I could do that.
Haskell coming in saying, hey guys, sad to hear the longtime ref and twin Dave Hebner passed away the other day. Yes, and now I've just noticed this while you were talking, Aaron. WWE announced that longtime ref Tim White has passed away. Again, 68 years old. Tributes are pouring in. So we'll talk about Hebner and White in just a second. Let's finish off the Vince conversation for sure. Thank you, Haskell. Any final words on this, Aaron, or anything we missed in the discussion of the Vince situation?
I mean, it feels like Vince is, no matter how many times we can say like, oh, it's going to go down, it's going to do this, it still feels like Vince is just going to skate.
Yeah.
And in a year, no one's going to care.
Yeah.
That's how it feels. Right. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, I got a very sinking feeling that he's going to skate. And if he doesn't skate, he's going to be punished for like a year, like you said, and then he'll be back. The second you hear that corporation music, the fans are going to forget about it because they're going to think to themselves, this is between them. It was consensual, blah, blah, blah. And then when he shows back up again, they're going to lose their minds. So that's what's going to happen, sadly. This is just the ugly truth about it. The man's untouchable. The man is untouchable.
The rule I know with politicians was you never want to be found in bed with a dead woman or a live man. So Vince wasn't found with either one of those, so he's probably fine. Yeah,
that's sadly true. I don't know how this, but I don't know what this does to Stephanie and what this does to Shane as well. Like, what have they always known this about their father? Have they just accepted the situation with him and Linda? Like, what is the overall after? You were talking about Jeff needing therapy. Like, what are they? I imagine Shane and Stephanie, I hope they see a number of therapists for the things that they must deal with that situation for sure. All right, let's see. Is there any more Streamlabs or Super Chats? No, I think we've answered them all. So, yeah. All right. Oh, well, and Luis Enrique de la Pena sent one saying, Dad, what's my Father's Day gift? Me. Watch Strong Style with Rocha and Aaron and shut up. Just kidding. There you go. And
damn right.
Yeah, exactly. And Young Boy said, these old geezers have it coming. So there you go.
You're not wrong about that. You're not wrong about that.
I agree with you. So, all right. So we're heading into the last section of the show here. Please make sure you hit a like and leave a comment down below if you're watching later after we record it live. And please send in your Streamlabs and Super Chats. Aaron, let's talk about Dave Hebner passing away. Let's talk about just now Tim White passing away. You know, we were talking about this with our text thread with Chris. Sadly, Hebner, I think he was 75. Is that correct? How old was he when he
I'm not sure how old he was, but yeah, he had been sick for a while.
Iconic referee, man. I mean, Mean Gene, Hulk Hogan, Hebner, Roddy Piper. These are the 1980s wrestling, man. You knew those names. Hebner is that referee that stood out from all the refs in the 1980s, just like Hogan was, just like Piper was, just like Okerlund was, and Vince, of course. Those were the people you knew, those names you knew immediately, along with Finkel, who we've also lost. So, damn, man, we're running out of everybody that we remember from the 1980s, brother.
Yeah, man. Dave Hebner. I mean, of course, Earl's his brother Earl's a great longtime referee as well. But Dave, a lot of people forget, like Dave was in that iconic angle with Hogan and Andre, where who paid you to get plastic surgery, brother? That was Dave Hebner. Like Dave and Earl doing the thing. How great was that? And then Dave, like over the years, kind of faded back into doing was an Asian. He did merchandising and things like that for the company and has been gone since. But yeah, man, iconic referee during the early 80s into the early 90s. Dave Hebner. Hell yeah.
Yeah, shame to see him. But Earl is definitely another one of those names, of course, and he's still around, right? I'm sure Earl Hebner.
Yeah, Earl is still around. He's actually got a new action figure coming out. But
of course he does.
But in regards to Tim White, I mean, R.I.P. Dave Hebner as well. But in regards to Tim White, like one of those guys that like a lot of people didn't know that he was Andre the Giant's handler back in the day. Like when Andre would go places, Tim White was his guy. Like he would go to, it would set everything up for Andre. And then Tim opened up his own bar and he was a bar owner for a long time. They played this out on WWE TV remember he was the ref that like wanted to unalive himself.
Yeah.
And unbelievable stuff from Tim White, longtime WWE referee, especially during the Attitude Era. So yeah, RIP Tim White. He's also another guy that hasn't been well for a bit. So you hate to see it.
And this is some of the condolences that are poured in, the tributes. Big E saying, I lit up every time I saw this man. Tim White often was the man tasked with shepherding us at appearances and conventions the last several years. He was always extraordinarily kind and warm. I will miss you, my friend. My deepest condolences. Ziggler, right, said Tim White brightened every room we walked into in the WWE locker room. Was especially lucky to have him. Shawn Michaels saying he was saddened to hear about both Dave Hebner and Tim White. Both incredible men I was privileged to spend time with in and out of the ring. My thoughts are with their families. Ricochet sending condolences, saying he did some Comic-Cons with Tim White. He always brought a smile to everyone around, made us all happier. Going to miss him. Carmella saying, this breaks my heart. I truly loved seeing Tim White and getting to know him over the years. He was always such a positive, happy person. He will be so missed. So, yeah, man, sometimes you can forget how essential and important a referee is to a match, and having someone who is actually a genuinely nice person, even amidst the madness of the WWE, which I imagine must be very difficult to do, to be a nice person and stay out of all the bullshit. It's nice to have those kind of tributes from people who appreciate, even multiple generations later, after you got into the business, appreciate you currently for what you were able to do with them and for them. So that's great stuff for Tim White for sure. And Aaron, we send our condolences to his family as well. And,
absolutely.
All right, where shall we head off to next here, my man?
I don't know. Do you even want to talk about Monday Night Raw? Like, is there any point?
And we can rip through it real quick and talk about. Let's talk about. Is there anything big on Raw? I mean, that we should hit on? Anything you really wanted to touch about? Because I want to talk about Reigns, Riddle, and Lesnar.
Okay,
I don't from SmackDown. So if there's anything big here in Raw, we should talk about.
Seth Rollins and AJ had a banger. That's all I can tell you.
They did. That was a good match.
And who is surprised by that?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that's all I got for Raw.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So let's talk about this. Roman Reigns taking on Matt Riddle. Talk about a banger of a match. That was a hell of a match. And there were moments, milliseconds, where you really believed they were going to do this. All these faces going out, with Orton going out, with Edge going out. Here's the possibility of not Edge. Who am I thinking of? Oh, Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes going out. Here's the possibility that it's Matt Riddle who shows up here and possibly takes the belt off Roman Reigns, but it doesn't happen. Reigns wins, and then Lesnar shows up. Here we go again. And I'm a little mad that Sami Zayn wasn't there to help the Usos after Lesnar killed everybody. So thoughts on this situation and how it's going down and what we're going to see from this, man?
I can't believe, I think for the first time in my life that I've seen Brock Lesnar, I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was just like,
wow.
I was just strong.
Okay.
Why are we doing this? Like, we just did this 4 times in a row, and we're going to do this again? Like, we just had this match.
Yeah.
In terms of Riddle, I like Riddle. I always have.
Yeah, I know you do.
I know you haven't.
Yes.
Always.
I did, but I have been. He's been.
You've been coming around.
Me.
You've been coming around.
Yeah,
I think that Riddle gives me shades of this fella, which is one of my favorite
RVD.
Which is one of my favorite wrestlers in Rob Van Dam, is that Riddle does his own thing. Like, he does it in his own way. Mm-hmm. And I think that he's unique in the fact that he's legit and he's actually taken the time to learn the wrestling business. And I think that despite what you think of the character of Riddle, I think that he's equated himself quite well. And you know who likes Riddle more than me? Bruce fucking Pritchard. Yeah. So if one of the execs really likes you and you're doing well and they're going to give you more TV time because you're doing well, big things are coming for Riddle. Maybe not now. It doesn't have to be the world champion now, but it's coming for Matt Riddle.
Right. Yeah, and look, we've seen this before, right? I didn't buy the Edge push when it started happening, and then when it came into fruition, I was 100% on board with Edge, and that's happened with a number of wrestlers through years. I don't know if I buy it, and then boom, I come over. And with Riddle, he's won me over. I've liked him. This match against Reigns was stellar, absolutely stellar. And that just shows you, hey, man, the kid's been learning. As you said, the kid's been studying. He's been learning. He's been figuring it out. I think having Randy as essentially a pseudo mentor there over the last few months has been fantastic for him. So now it almost seems like, oh, yeah, that's right. Randy's his partner. Whereas maybe just 2 weeks ago, you were like, yeah, but Randy's his partner, dude. This guy's, Randy's the one you want to talk about. Now it seems like Riddle's kind of slid into that slot here. And almost Randy seems, what do you call that? Extra. We don't need it. Like he's already, good to go with what he's doing. So, this is going to be fun. But the Lesnar thing, they have to do it. They have no other choice, really. Right. That's the sad truth of it. So they've just got to go with this for now, which is kind of crazy to think that Brock Lesnar is a stand-in for what they wanted to do, considering how many times Lesnar has been the premier thing for them to showcase in matches and in main events. So it's kind of interesting how the worm has turned a little bit on Lesnar in this situation.
And the rumor, we should say the rumored match at SummerSlam was supposed to be Orton and Reigns, but it appears that Randy Orton may be out longer than we thought. He may not even come back until next year.
Wow.
So Randy Orton, and he's not young by terms of WWE standards. We got John Cena coming back too.
Yes.
Supposedly. So, and then Edge is eventually going to come back. So we've got some people in the pipeline because we fucking need it right now. We needed a no one's going to be thinking about wrestling for the next couple of weeks until this thing with Vince is resolved. I don't think you'll be able to even. I can't focus. I can't focus on it. So, Brock Lesnar coming back. You think they paid him $3 million to come back? That seems to be the number, for God's sake. So, I think Riddle's been great.
Yeah.
So good for him.
Okay. Let's move on to some AEW Dynamite here as we wrap up the show. What stood out from you? What do you want to talk about? What was advanced here in this Dynamite, and maybe even Rampage? If you liked anything in Rampage, talk to me about any of this.
I'm gonna throw this at you, and I know people are gonna just be like, "Here he goes again." Weak ass Dynamite.
Oh,
I think it's been bad lately. Okay. I just, without Punk and without Danielson, it has lost a bit of that steam that it had. Like they were
bringing the NJPW people back.
Doesn't fucking matter, dude. Like you and I, like I'm not gonna pretend like I'm some NJPW diehard. I'm not gonna. Right. And neither, if you're your average wrestling fan, you don't know who these fucking people are.
Yeah, it's true. You're right.
Like Will Ospreay shows up, and it's like, I know who Will Ospreay is. I have Twitter. I've seen it. Like I've seen like maybe 2 of his matches, but like except for like Tanahashi, Switchblade, Jay White, who we've had on the show,
right?
I don't know these people, dude. So like when these guys show up, I'm just like, okay, cool. Like I don't know who these guys are, but apparently they're a big deal. I don't know. I guess I'm supposed to think they're a big deal, but it just does nothing for me. Like the stuff with Jay White and Hangman is great.
That is great.
He cut a hell of a promo on Hangman after winning the IWGP Championship, which Chris alluded to earlier. He took that title.
Dude, a sit-down promo, that is not easy to do. And my man delivered a fantastic sit-down promo.
Unfortunately, Carl Anderson talked as well, which kind of ruined it. But terrible. But something that we didn't address that was originally – go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Okay.
What
did we not address, bro?
It was kind of originally on the rundown, but I took it off as things got crazy. This Thunder Rosa situation. And we should mention that Thunder Rosa has been allegedly, she was accused of sandbagging.
Yeah,
not
by
a fan, not
and,
from any wrestlers.
Right, and Marina Shafir and Britt Baker
yeah.
both liked the tweet.
Yep, which is the equivalent these days of saying, haha, I agree. So that's what was going around. And then Eva Lise came in, who, was in AEW a year or so ago, and accused Thunder Rosa of not wanting to work with her.
Yeah.
So it kind of got me thinking. It was like, man, is this a thing? Like Rosa, for all I know, is like a great person and is a great wrestler and does business. And it's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And then on Twitter or Instagram or something, Rosa came out with that picture of her and Marina Shafir that was like, hey, we're both mothers. We're both in the business. We're just trying to, all is good here. Yeah. So I got to think, is this picture, is this a make good to get people to shut up about Thunder Rosa? Like, did somebody give her the Iggy, like, you need to get ahead of this? Or do we have an actual problem here?
That's a fair point. I'm more in the camp of I'm glad that Rosa and Shafir worked it out. Look, Rosa doesn't have to work out shit with Shafir. I'll be honest with you. Ain't nobody saying Marina Shafir is the future of wrestling, okay? Rosa's a champion, and people love Thunder Rosa. The Marina Shafir shirts aren't selling out. She couldn't make it work in WWE, so she's getting a chance here. Cargill and her had an interesting match. It looked like Cena versus Brock Lesnar all over again. Ooh. And when he threw her onto the table, I was like, Jesus Christ. So what's going on there? Why did Cargill mess up that spot? That was weird to see. So in the end, do we like Marina Shafir? Do we think it carries any weight? No, but Rosa was magnanimous enough. That's where I look at it. Magnanimous enough to go to her, hey, do you feel I sandbagged you? Is that what's going on? Well, I'm sorry. Where did I make the mistake? Let's look at it. Let's talk about it. Okay, in the future, I won't make that mistake. Can we take this picture? And then, Marina probably felt it was great that Rosa stepped up and took responsibility, had the conversation with her. There's no picture with her and Britt. That to me tells me that is real. That shit between them is a little bit real. And I bet Britt hates the fact that authentic wrestling fans love Rosa for her abilities in the ring, and because they're the same ones who criticize Britt Baker for what you called Will Ospreay, a technical wrestler, a good technical wrestler, but doesn't really wow you that much. And I think Britt Baker has that vibe with a lot of wrestling fans right now. Even watching her against Toni Storm on Dynamite, fuck, man, it was rough. Toni was doing all she could to save that match, and you're seeing Britt Baker, oh, I'm hurt. I'm getting back up again. Oh, I'm getting back up again. There was no seamless. It wasn't seamless. It was very technical. Hit the spot, do this. There's no organic life to it, and it's a little frustrating to watch. So that's something that's very curious to me, that there was no sharing of the bread between her and Britt Baker. It was just her and Marina Shafir. And Eva Lise, look, who are you? Like, you're not, Thunder Rosa is a star here. There's a different situation. And I'm not saying she's not valid. I'm sure she feels that way, but it's not going to carry as much weight with the wrestling fans. It just isn't. So I'm just curious to see what the truth of this is. And you're right. This is the first time there's a little bit of a stain on Thunder Rosa, but to her credit, she quashed the beef and took a picture. And that speaks volumes about her character, I think.
That's what a leader does.
Yes.
That's what a leader does. And I think Britt Baker, a lot of, one of the best mottos in wrestling is accentuate the positives, hide the negatives.
Yeah.
And I think that Britt Baker is such a good character and can talk so well.
Oh, yes.
That we forget sometimes that she can be the shits.
Yeah.
And there are times where I watch her and I think, wait a minute. Like, she's been in this company for 3 years, and I feel like she hasn't got any better.
Yeah.
And then other times I see her, I'm like, I don't know what she's fine. I don't know what I'm thinking.
Right.
But it's just, it's odd. It's very odd. And then Shafir doesn't move the needle. Your husband is one of the best wrestlers in the entire fucking world, and you haven't learned a thing. One of your best friends is like a former, UFC and Strikeforce bantamweight champion. And I know you have an MMA background, but it feels like you are no threat at all to beat anybody. I'm not there. I'm not there for it. Shout out to Toni Storm for getting the #1 contenders match against Thunder Rosa. That's going to happen.
That's gonna be fun.
That'll be cool.
Thunderstorm.
I like that. That's cool. So it's just the AEW women's division continues to be in complete shambles, and like nobody can fix it. And I don't know what it's going to take.
Yeah, it's a shame for sure. I do want to hit on a couple more things here. Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti joining the Jericho Appreciation Society. Was this done to kind of give them a little bit of cover here, Aaron? Because the fans are just not happy with them either way, heel or face. They're just not happy with him. So was this a way to kind of give them a little bit of cover, have a veteran be out front? Is that what this is all about?
It's that soul sucker Chris Jericho. He says, "Oh, you got some heat with the fans? Give me your heat. Let me absorb your heat, and I will make it myself. Like I will exactly. I will be." He's fucking sucking the steam like Rose the Hat in Dr. Sleep. That is a complex reference. If you get that, thank you. That's what he's doing. He's a soul sucker. He saw that Guevara and Conti were getting all this heat.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, give me some of that. Like I can do something with this guy." And yes, exactly. He's a fucking wizard. Like, of course he did this. Fucking Jericho, man. Either he's the biggest idiot or the biggest genius. I don't know which one it is. I think it's a line between the two of complete madness. We'll see.
That way lies madness, right? Exactly. Ospreay, I thought the match with Hardwood was great. Good to see Will Ospreay. Moxley and Tanahashi are going to go face to face, so that's cool. Miro defeating Ethan Page, sure. Tony Storm, as we mentioned, I thought Tony Storm did a nice job. Britt Baker was just kind of talking about sandbagging. I mean, Britt Baker sandbags a lot of matches. I'll be honest with you. So she should be the last one liking a tweet against Thunder Rosa sandbagging, for God's sakes. The Jay White situation with Hangman was good, but Young Bucks defeating Jurassic Express to win the title, and then Cristian turning on Jungle Boy. That's a big. People have been calling the Cristian turn for a while now on Jungle Boy, so it finally happened. But Young Bucks winning the title again, and they did it decisively. It wasn't, by the skin of their teeth. It was a damn good match, but they were both on the ladder to retain the titles, or to get the titles, rather.
Two excellent things in the chat, and I'll get to it. Scott Welsh says, "Cast iron Chris Jericho absorbing all your heat." Thank you. That's amazing. And then Zeno Ira saying, "Rose the Hat can suck my soul anytime." I'm just saying. Shout out to Rebecca Ferguson. But
yes, agreed.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about Jurassic Express.
Yes. I hate that the Young Bucks are tag team champions because FTR have been the number one rated tag team champions for like 4 months or 3 months or some bullshit. Yet the Young Bucks and the Hardys got the shot. Then Jeff did his thing and it was gone. And the Young Bucks just don't excite me. I think they finally saw what a lot of people were talking about, that it's like, we don't need the Young Bucks. Like, they don't do anything for us. They're not doing it. And they're like, hey, wait a second. We got to get those tag belts or something.
Yeah.
And like we talked about before, Jurassic Express to me was about the 7th interesting tag team that AEW had. And then finally, shout out to the dudes on the Public Enemies podcast that said, Cristian saw what happened to Edge a few weeks ago, and he said, nah, fuck that. I'm getting ahead of it. So Cristian turns on Jungle Boy. So now it looks like Christian's going to wrestle. Cool. Yeah. Great. I don't care because there's no belt on the line. So it's like, are we trying to get Jungle Boy over, and to what end?
Yeah.
To make him the TNT champion? He's going to beat Wardlow? You fucking break.
Is he going to be the new Matt Riddle in AEW? Is he going to be the Matt Riddle of AEW?
Shit. He can't talk. He doesn't want to talk. Jungle Boy has said on the AEW's own podcast that when someone brings him a microphone to do a promo, he goes and hides.
What?
Yes, your dad is Luke Perry, an actor. God rest his soul. And you can't talk on the microphone.
Jungle, you got to get on the mic, man.
Yeah, dude. Like, Cristian has talked for him for, what, a year? It's time, dude. It's time. We're going to see what Jungle Boy is made of, and if he is truly one of those pillars.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to see it.
Well, Haskell says AEW went off the air 45 seconds after Cristian turned and missed the next near 2 minutes of Cristian verbally bashing Jungle Boy's mom and sister. Oh, my God.
I did see that. He was telling him to, like, F off, and he's a piece of shit. And I was like, God damn. Like,
oh, my God.
This family's had tragedy. How dare you?
Exactly.
Yeah,
let's see here. Empire Fan 1980 says, what they should do is bring back Damien Sandow as Ezekiel's brother. I love and miss Damien Mizdow. He was so fun.
Yeah,
he
Elias
himself saying that he meant Ezekiel. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Elias is coming back to Raw next week. That's what he said. And if it's Damien Sandow, because odd timing, that Damian Sandow just retired.
Yes.
Just finished up his wrestling contract with NWA, so we could see it. Place would go bananas if that happened.
That was so great. Kevin Owens too. Owens would be like, "That's not true." What if you grabbed them both and pulled a Hebner as a tribute?
Oh my God, that'd be great.
That'd be so fantastic. So yeah, we'll see. Elias, walk with Elias on tomorrow night. So we shall see. All right, man. I think we should wrap it up there. We have talked ad nauseum about everything. So thank you all so much for joining us. Sorry, Chris couldn't join us. Chris having issues with his computer and his phone, but we hope you enjoyed the show. Anyway, Chris is normally on the show with us. So just to change, maybe altering time and all of that, just kind of work to his non-benefit, for lack of a better term, and him not being able to be on the show. But I think Aaron and I had a really fun show. So thank you all so much for watching. Thanks for being so lively in the chat. Thanks for the Streamlabs and Super Chats as well. Aaron, another fun show, brother, man. Where can they find you? Any final words here, man?
I had a great time yesterday at the con. I got to talk with the Blade and the Bunny for quite a bit. They're good people. They may be my two favorite wrestlers now, especially Mr. Blade. He's excellent. His favorite movie is Predator. Just want to throw that out there. We bonded over the Thing because it's great. I also talked to Scotty Too Hottie for a minute. Good to talk to Scotty.
Nice.
And is that all wrestling related? Yeah, that's all the wrestling related stuff that I did. I got to give Bunny and Blade their AEW cards as they did not have them.
Wow.
So I said, here, take these. They said, oh my God, excellent. What a great day. Yeah. And then I took Butcher's spot in the group. So he wasn't there at the signing. He's coming next time. So I said, I'll take his spot this time.
Good luck telling Butcher that. Good luck.
I did tell him. Did you see this on Twitter?
I saw it on Twitter. I didn't see you tell him.
I told him.
Put it on Twitter.
I said you're temporary out, and he said, "You son of a bitch." So me and the Butcher have heat apparently. So.
I'm glad you finally come around on Bunny. So that's good to hear. That's good.
I do like the Bunny. We are kindred spirits in horror, and Canadians in horror. It's weird. I don't know. I asked her about that. I asked her actually in Impact. The way she was removed from Impact Television was she was actually killed. She was like killed off in that weird Rosemary Sue Young interdimensional fight. She was stabbed with like a sword and she died. And I was like, so how does it feel to be the only person I know of that was actually killed off as a character on television? And she she kind of thought about it for a second. She's like, that's true, isn't it? She's like, hey, it's another notch in my belt. So
that's right.
Shout out to her.
Great. All right, there you go. You can follow Aaron at Only Aaron Turner, and Chris Burns. You can follow him at Chris_please. And for me, you can follow me at The Roke Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The Outlaw Nation on Twitch, and subscribe down below. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell button, so you see when I'm dropping all the content we do here. Going to drop a Ms. Marvel episode 2 spoiler review in about an hour here from the Geek Buddies. So we've got that coming up on the channel as well. And at 5 p.m. PT, I'm going to be live again on the Cinephiles YouTube channel. Steve Morris and I talking about summer movies, our favorite summer movies, the legend of summer movies, where we think they're going, and what are the ones we're looking forward to in 2022. So go and find us on the Cinephiles YouTube channel at 5 p.m. PT. And as Aaron said at the beginning, happy Father's Day to everybody, whether you're a father or you're a daddy. We wish you the happiest of Father's Days. And you can enjoy yourself. Because we love you madly. We appreciate you tuning in. So come back and join us 9 a.m. Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. PT live. We do the show. If you've just tasted or sampled our show for the first time, that's where we normally drop everything we're talking about, that 9 a.m. PT next Saturday. All right, y'all take care of yourselves. Be well. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of Strong Style. Yeah.